Hello, my name is Bihus, and this is Our Money, a program on anti-corruption investigations. Today, we will tell you about a huge and expensive government construction project. The officials just love projects like this because before it begins, it's an unlimited source of political advertising, and after the sales start, there is enough money to finance a political party. It's all pros. But to top it off, they need something else. After the initial attention, they need everyone to forget about the project entirely. And the project known under the wall designation is a perfect example. Remember? Yatseniuk had announced it a couple of years ago. Reliable barrier, defense of the state border from every corner. But now, not a single politician ever mentions the wall in public. I have a feeling that only the state treasury remembers, which has already allocated more than $18 million for its construction. Mariana Matrunich remembers as well, for she has investigated where the money went and where the said wall stands. They are at Chernihiv, Sumy, and Kharkiv directions. In Chernihiv region, there were sightings of elite Russian forces, more than 10,000 strong, including combined arms battalions and tactile groups. We commenced the wall project. Simkivka border crossing point, Belarus to the right, Russian Federation to the left. This is the shortest route to the northern neighbors. Simkivka is 200 kilometers from Kiev, 3 hours by car. In 2014 to 2015, the Russian army held military exercises nearby, while the Ukrainian border guards were hastily reinforcing their positions. We are at the checkpoint where we have created conditions to defend from an armed attack on the border guard forces.
Відбиття збройного нападу персоналом Державної прикордонної служби.
It's maintained in a working order. Every firing position has a tactical map.
На кожному вогневому місці ми маємо картку вогню, кожен військовослужбовець.
Every serviceman knows the landmarks, his arc of fire.
Знає.
In case of an unexpected artillery attack,
обстрілу свій. Укриття для персоналу.
The personnel of all the services are housed here, and citizens who are crossing the border are evacuated to the shelters. Still, the main defense of the Chernihiv region border are forests and fields. The shelters shown by the head of a border guard division are located only at checkpoints, and there are only 3 shelters in total, all of them built by local residents. We built them in 2014 with the help of local authorities, organizations, communities, and individual people. They gave us vehicles and fuel for them. While Chernihiv residents were digging trenches, Prime Minister Arseniy Yatseniuk announced a grand project to defend the border. We commenced the wall project. Around 6 months have passed since the beginning of Russian aggression, with parliamentary elections just 2 months away. The construction of a real state border between Ukraine and the Russian Federation. This is what the real state border was going to be. A 3-meter ditch, then a 2-meter rampart, then 5 meters of loose soil, which holds the trespassers' tracks. A road along the soil strip, a fence with cameras behind it, and watchtowers every 20 kilometers. While the ditch may be deep and the soil loosened, it's doubtful it would have been enough to stop an army. While it's the fear of an invasion that pushed for the wall's construction, we have made a wise decision on this project, not just to make fences, but foremost to fulfill the primary function. Denial of easy infiltration, identification, and rapid response to a situation, either elimination or capture. This is how the wise wall looks in real life. This is what the chain link fence looks like. This is the surface part. This is what the chain link fence looks like. This is the surface part. You can see there is an underground part. The posts are anchored in concrete. It's impossible to dismantle them. Barbed wire. Its length in Chernihiv region along the border with Russia is 6 kilometers. Then the fence ends, but the border runs for 218 kilometers more until it reaches the Sumy region. These 6 kilometers of fence have been shown to journalists since 2015, and they were built from the World Bank's money. About the 6 kilometers of barbed wire that are currently in place and the 10 watchtowers, they were installed outside the funding of the Engineering and Technical Equipment Program for the money provided by the second tranche of the European Community, amounting to $230,000. Installation of watchtowers, video surveillance, and signaling systems with state money was postponed. Currently, the project is scheduled to be finished in 2020. I hope that our Western partners will order the fortification of their borders from us. What began with dreams of commissions from Western partners resulted in 6 kilometers of an exemplary wall, financed by donations from Western partners. Of course, the wall is not only a wall, it's also a road, a ditch, utilities. But those objectives are somewhat different from those planned. Let's talk about money instead. The wall was planned not only to be very wise, but also very expensive. The overall amount of expenses is $300 million. According to the Border Guard Service, not even 10% of the declared amount was used in the construction until now. The project is financed exclusively by the state budget, but it's being underfunded. The transfers are falling behind on the previously approved schedule. But even those mere 8% translate to a whole $24.5 million, $2 million of which were used to buy 4 Triton APCs, manufactured by the factory, which belongs to the president. Now NABU is investigating $360,000 overpaid for every vehicle. Aside from buying the vehicles, the funds were used to repair the border guards' buildings. It's impossible to use high-tech equipment if the division assigned to operate it is basically made of boards. The border guard gets repairs from Favorite, a famous Zhytomyr construction company. It belongs to the family of an MP, Borislav Rosenblatt. He has worked there himself before becoming an MP. They perform work for the project, don't they? They perform it according to public bids. I'm not involved in business, but I know that the company takes part not only in the border guard, but also in the armed forces activities. Part of the money intended for the wall construction was diverted to repair and build checkpoints. The cheapest bidding propositions were refused for having something wrong with the documents. So the MP's company won the contract and $650,000. So you don't have anything? No, I don't. I'm occupied with my MP office. I can't help but notice that there are accusations of misuse of state money. Like they had to build a wall, instead they repaired checkpoints. Formally, it's a violation, but in reality, this misuse of money, purchase of vehicles, checkpoint construction, dormitory renovations, seems at least reasonable, even with all the violations and flaws. At least the checkpoint repair was contracted through a public bid, and even there, not the cheapest proposal won. There was a $72,000 overpay, but $21.5 million, more than $500 million hryvnias, were distributed in closed, classified, opaque, mysterious, and unknown ways. Hard to imagine what happened there. But let's see who eventually got the money. Thus, the hyped border defense project turned into a delayed construction. The government has announced that the so-called wall on the border with Russia will be completed by the end of 2018. But for now, it's not that effective. The holes in the wall appeared because of the project's secrecy. The border guard manages the millions allocated for the European rampart, and the contractors for small-scale repairs are chosen right here, in secrecy, without any feedback. There is no public competition, is this right? As far as I know, there wasn't any. It didn't go through any public systems like Prozoro. It was done single-handedly. How so? As far as I know, the law doesn't forbid this kind of procedure under certain circumstances. And a certain circumstance is a state secret in this case, or what? Well, in this case, the law really allowed to avoid public procurement. I mean, to avoid holding a public competitive bidding, because the work is classified. The classified status demands that the project's general contractors have to possess a permit to construct military installations. This is the border guard's explanation for the opacity of the operation, but they can't even explain who issues the permits. One of the main criteria influencing the choice of contractors was that the companies need to have a permit to work on military installations. Correspondingly, they must have access to classified information. You are saying that the contractors had to have a permit. Does the security service issue it, or does someone else? I don't know exactly how to obtain it, but I think that the security service must be involved in it. Of course, there should be a legally defined procedure for organizations which are permitted to build military installations. Wrong. The security service does not provide any permits for companies which work or have worked with the wall project. After 3 years and $25 million, there is neither the wall nor a reasonable explanation for the choice of general contractors. Currently, 11 private firms work on technical equipment of the state border. Most of them are Ukrainian enterprises, which both carry out construction work and manufacture the vehicles that will be stationed at the border. A Kharkiv company, Scorpion RP, got around $2 million for construction services. The company is owned by brothers Volodymyr and Pavlo Levchenkos. Volodymyr has business contacts with MPs, judges, and businessmen. They are brought together by hunting, their common hobby. Volodymyr has a close relationship with Dmytro Shentsev, an opposition bloc deputy of the Kharkiv region. Do you communicate with general contractors? No, I haven't seen them, don't know anything about them. Strange, because Levchenko and Shentsev share common hunting grounds. Do you know Volodymyr Levchenko, Scorpion RP? No, I don't know him. You don't know Volodymyr Levchenko. I don't. And I have nothing to do with construction, and never had at all. Stranger still, because Shentsev's hunting mate builds border structures in the deputy's district. That's true. The border runs along several parts of my district. Unfortunately, locals often complain about it. I can't comment on the wall's condition because I'm not qualified to do so. Another firm from Kharkiv, Construction Group International, was paid more than $200 million by the border guard. Previously, it was registered to the son of Kharkiv prosecutor Vasyl Sinchuk, who later became the Kiev-based prosecutor of Crimea. Later, the firm was registered to Ihor Moroz, Sinchuk's business partner. Currently, the companies where Ihor Moroz and Alexander Sinchuk are co-founders. This is, for example, the firm Samantha Skid. Therefore, Alexander Sinchuk, Vasyl Sinchuk's son, was the co-founder of a big company, the Construction Group International. But after it was exposed, people started writing about it, and he quit the company. While the general contractors are known, despite being arbitrarily chosen by the border guard, it is close to impossible to discover where the money goes after this. I'm 100% sure that we don't have anything to do with subcontractors. In the summer, the Anti-Corruption Bureau detained 7 people. They were suspected of embezzling $580,000 on the wall. Among them was Arseniy Yatseniuk, head of the border guard's construction department. According to the detectives, he chose the general contractors and the people they had to transfer the money to. He was the one to decide which general contractor would take part, and the part of the subcontractors that would cash out the money. He was the one to decide where to buy the construction materials. Here's the construction subcontractor, Arseniy Yatseniuk. The company, registered in a ferroconcrete factory in Koroshen, Zhytomyr region, was paid $650,000 for construction services at the border in Kharkiv region. Its founder is a 70-year-old pensioner, a retired firefighter from a nearby village. He is a pensioner, an ex-firefighter, that's all. 80% of the company belongs to a Koroshen resident, Yevgenia Prokopievna, a percent for each year of her life. You own a company, correct? Where do I own it? Arseniy Yatseniuk. I'm listed as a founder. It was my son's factory, but he handed it over to someone I don't even know, but I'm still listed as the founder. I don't do anything there. I'm 79 years old already. I've worked all my life at the power grid. I'm almost 80. What can I possibly do there? This woman owns a couple of other companies too, ranging from bridge construction to cargo trucks. It's called Shlak Zalizo Beton. They were making bridges across major rivers. I know that my Sasha was the head then, and he, my son, built this house. It's a new house. Yes, we can see that it's new. And they're in Egypt now. He's not here. So the woman sent us to the factory, assuring us that we would get explanations there. You can go to the factory. They will tell you everything. We didn't get a warm welcome at the factory. The guard repeatedly calls someone and refuses to talk, saying that there is no such firm here. It's not here, get out. The subcontractor doesn't want to talk, while the general contractor can't. According to the construction, the detectives have confiscated all documents, most of them classified. There's a rather long wall, as they call it, but it doesn't look like a wall. $150,000 went to a subcontractor, Kit Trade. This subcontractor for the wall project is registered in a virtual office in Kiev, sharing it with 1,500 other companies. The first head of Kit Trade works as a janitor. The second is a 21-year-old man who was recently looking for a sales representative job. This prominent company was paid by Budcenter Vitez. It belongs to Ahaverdi Adilov, who has been on the market since 1994. His son worked as an assistant to opposition bloc MP Yuri Pavlenko. I know that he didn't have any projects with the wall at that time, but I know he had a great desire to get into state projects on rebuilding the Donbass. Vitez is one of the wall's largest general contractors. The company was allocated $2.5 million for construction services. It transferred $220,000 to the company registered in a virtual office. They aren't here anymore. They moved out a year or more ago. Then the head of the company can't even say what he was selling. I didn't participate in any walls. I just, so to say, provided, or more like sold some goods to the contractor who was doing the construction, that's all. I won't even reveal my trade secrets. Aside from building the wall, this company is part of several criminal cases for cigarette smuggling. Ultimately, it was re-registered to a Russian Magadan resident. I got a bit bored with it because the country is going through hard times. It's really hard to conduct business here. I decided to quit all this. More than 50 different companies in every region of Ukraine are registered to Serhiy Slizek, the Magadan resident. Among the contractors is a company created just for this project. In the summer of 2015, workers of Premier Palace Hotel Sergei Pavlovsky and Alexei Pikhasin have founded a company with a registered capital of 1 hryvnia right in Pikhasin's own apartment. They call it Count Group. The general contractor is there. They did a better job here than at the border. In several months, the company got into general contractors' pool. Seems like they quickly got the construction experience they needed and the mysterious security service permits. The companies need to have a permit to work on military installations. Correspondingly, they must have access to classified information. This general contractor got almost $250,000 and didn't part with it. The court registry tells us that numerous companies sued the contractor for refusing to pay for completed services. The number is temporarily unable to receive calls. Ultimately, Count Group's documents were seized by the Kyiv prosecution when they searched a cash-out center opposite the MIA building. The Great Wall of Yatseniuk. It was planned to stop numerous trespassers, if not a full-scale military invasion. What it could not possibly contain, though, is the desire to make money on its construction. That's all for today. Watch us on YouTube, write us on social media, and if you have an interesting idea, feel free to email us. See you on air in a week. Goodbye.